Esse. How are you doing today? How's
Excellent,
the
Anna. Thank you so
warm
much.
weather of Colorado treating you?
Yeah, it is warm, but we're supposed to have snow this weekend. So this is Colorado. If you wait just 24 hours, we can go from sunshine to snow and back to sunshine.
Oh boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to begin what you've been doing through quarantine, just very quickly, very briefly. How have you been doing? Just want to know a little bit.
No, excellent. Everything has been good. Been social distancing and wearing the mask, and been going to the office at Colorado Soccer 2 days a week. We do have games going on, so we have the youth matches going on right now, and the adult. We just this past weekend we had the Super League, which is the adult championship. We had the semifinals, so I was at both of those matches. We're looking at the referees, and everything is good in Colorado. We're playing. We're not quite normal, but carrying on as best as we can.
Well, that's excellent, Esse. Well, just just a welcome to Football Talks. As you may know, it's we invite people from all over the region, legends such as yourself. So if you want to get started with just a brief background of what is it that you used to do. You were a referee, right, and very, very notable referee for the U.S. Soccer Federation. And if you want to just explain to us how you became a referee, right? What was that moment where you decided, oh, I'm going to become a referee?
Well, the moment was totally by accident. I mean, I said accident, it was playing in a game and breaking my tibia and fibia. So, here's a broken leg. And my professor at the university, Dr. Warder, who was a professor of mechanical engineering, he knew that I loved the game and I played the game, and I was also a coach. So he said, while you're recovering from your injury, you can help us out with refereeing because you can do some of these youth games. And I said, great, I can do that. And that's how I got started. Started with the youth matches, the U10s and U12s and all of that. And then, as I knew the game pretty well, I very quickly moved up doing, high school, college, majoring in soccer league, professional games, and all the way to international, and then World Cup, Olympics, Gold Cup, all the good tournaments that there are there.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the most appropriate question now to follow up is, how did you become a football lover, right? So when did this love for the game begin for you, Esse?
Oh, from childhood, from a young age of 7, and watching games and playing in the streets. And I was born in Tehran, Iran, and the game's in our blood. And if you watch some of the derbies, the Clásicos, there's 100,000 people watching the matches. And I remember my very first World Cup, 1966 World Cup from England, to follow the game on the newspapers, watch it on television. When the movie Gold came, went to the movie theater, watched the game, and the game is in my blood. So from a very, very young age. And I was lucky that my cousin, who's a doctor at the time, he was in the medical school, he would go to the games, and my mother would allow me to go with him to watch the games. So I had a great mentor.
Yeah, for sure. So do you want to bring us back to your childhood in Iran? Do you want to talk a little bit about how you ended up in the U.S. and such?
Yeah, so I was studying chemical engineering and at the National University of Iran, and everything was being taught in English instead of Farsi, which was our language. And I said, well, I might as well go to U.S. and do it there and get my degree in USA. So I came to University of Missouri, Columbia, and got my chemical engineering degree. And from there on, I was playing for the university, and as I told you, my breaking the leg brought me into the next stage, which was refereeing and staying with the game. And it's been 40 some odd years of great experience.
Yeah, for sure. I see. So from your childhood, do you have any anecdotes, or do you have any favorite memories that you will forever tell, this one story of your upbringing in Iran, right? Just playing the game, if there are any of them that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So 1970 World Cup, which was being played in Mexico. The games were in the afternoon, so game time in Iran was 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and we would be up watching these games, and you could see the whole neighborhood. The lights were on, and when a goal was scored, everybody would be screaming and cheering. And then the next day we would be on the street, doing the same type of tricks that happened that we saw maybe from a German player or an Italian player. And we were thinking that we were at the time Gerd Müller, who played for Germany, or we thought that we were Beckenbauer, or Jairzinho, depending on which club, which team you were following. So we were on the street the next day, and this was during the summer, which we had the off from school, so it was from like 8 o'clock in the morning till 9-10 o'clock at night. The only time that we went inside when the parents came in and said, come and get something to eat. So it was like 12-14 hours of soccer per day.
So now my follow-up question is, how many times did that happen to you? How many times did your mother I think if like I guess back in the old days, your mom would like scream out, hey, come and eat, or hey, come inside. Approximately how many times did that happen to you, Esse?
Oh my God, that was a daily occurrence. And because we played in the streets, if we kicked the ball and, the ball went into the neighbor's house. And back then, they had these walls, so we had to either climb the wall or knock on the door. After a couple of times of knocking on the door, they got tired of, coming and giving us the ball. So they would bring a knife and put it inside the ball, and the ball would come back flat. So it taught us very quickly to keep our shots low, and develop the type of skills that you need to have to make sure that the ball doesn't end up in somebody's backyard. And we played in the street, so when the cars were coming in, you had to be careful. When the cart was going, the guy selling fruits, you had to make sure you don't kick the ball into the oranges or watermelons and things like that. So you learned very quickly to be skillful with the ball control.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned that one of your favorite childhood memories was, watching that 70s World Cup that was played in Mexico. So actually you got to officiate quite a few World Cups, right? Do you want to talk to us about, how you managed to get to the highest level of football as a referee? And then what are your favorite memories?
Yeah, so the 1970 World Cup in Mexico, I was watching. So every World Cup from there on, 74, 78, and so on. And when finally I became a FIFA referee in 1993, and the 94 World Cup was in the US. So I knew that the first year FIFA referee will not do a World Cup. So my only chance was 98 World Cup. And, I did the Olympics in Atlanta, 96 Olympics in Atlanta. I did the semi-final match between Argentina and Portugal, which was supposed to be a very high-risk game, and it was taken care of easily with no problem. And then from there on, I went to 98 World Cup, the first American referee to whistle two matches in the same World Cup. I did the first game between Spain and Nigeria, which was a great game, 3-2 in favor of Nigeria, big upset. And after that, I was given the match Brazil-Norway, and this was the last game of the qualifying round, and the game was tied 1-1 until 89th minute of the match. And then in the 89th minute of the match, there's a penalty that I called that was not seen by the cameras that were broadcasting the match. I gave the penalty. It was a holding that happened by Junior Baiano, who brought down Toran Reflo. And for 36 hours, I was the worst referee in the world. I was incompetent. I was a cheat. I had been bought, all of the above, because none of the cameras could pick up the angle that I had seen. Luckily for me, the Swedish television was broadcasting the game also back to Scandinavia, and they had a camera behind the goal that had the exact view that I had, except from the opposite side, from behind the goal. And when they heard all of this craziness that the referee is incompetent and he cheated and this was not a penalty and all that, they decided to put the video on the internet, and it saved my career. I went from a goat to a goat, from the worst to greatest of all times, based on this one call. And even FIFA TV has a 5-minute documentary on this thing, the referee in the eye of storm in YouTube. And it just goes to show you that the referee in good position, in excellent position, is better than 16 television cameras. And if you have the right positioning, you can make the call. And every time somebody talks about referees being mistaken and this and that, this is one example where they show that the referee was better than technology. And it's a nice little anecdote to carry with me. From there on, FIFA wanted me to help out with training the next generation of referees. So I became a FIFA instructor starting in 2003 with the Under-17 World Cup in Finland. And from there on, I started to instruct in every World Cup or Men World Cup. So 2006 Men World Cup in Germany, 2010 South Africa, 2014 in Brazil, 2018 in Russia. And also with the Women World Cup. So the last one that we just did was 2019 in France. And it has been fantastic to work with the referees that now are becoming instructors and decisions makers. So for example, Roberto Rossetti, who's in charge of UEFA, was one of our referees back in 2006 World Cup in Germany. And, I can go on and on and on in every confederation and name people who are now, in charge of making sure that the next generation of referees are brought up in the right way.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for sharing that, Esse. Just one follow-up question on the whole transition, to instructor. If there's a message that you can give to, those referees that are, just about to end their career and wanting to, give back to the game, such as you have for numerous number of years, what would this message be?
That we are no different than the coaches. We're like coaches who are players and they become coaches, and their celebration comes from the success of their team, their players. When their team wins, the coaches win. When the team is doing well, when the players are doing well, the coach wins. So that's all we have to do when we're instructing, when we are assessing, that we are totally 100% invested in the success of our referees. When they win, we win together. And the way they win is that we make sure that they don't become a target. There is no scandals, there is no fiascos in the game. They go out there, protect the safety of the players. They don't change the result of the game one way or the other. If they make any mistakes, that the mistakes are minor. It's not a major decision, not a penalty that decides the result of the game and things of that nature. So all of us instructors must be invested in the success of our players. Our players are referees in this situation, and we have to be really upfront with them. We have to be brutally honest. We have to have a very high standard of excellence. Keep them to that standard, because if you keep them to a very high standard of excellence, if they drop just a little bit shy of it, then we still have a good product. So never compromise when it comes to quality.
So we have a special guest coming in. Hopefully she's in the queue. Let's see, I'm pressing joining. Let's see. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Lindsey, how are you?
We can't hear you. What happened?
Oh.
There we go. How are you, Lindsey?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. We're just talking about with Esse how the game has progressed with his, I don't know how many World Cups he's been to. So yeah, Esse, what's that back there? I know that you have like this entire collection of medals and like just accolades of everything you've done. And
yeah. The picture is from the Atlanta Olympics. I was telling you about the semifinal match between Argentina and Portugal. And then everything else behind is the medals from the different World Cups that we have been to. I have been to either as a referee or as an instructor. So there's 33 medals out there altogether. And those are, the 5 of them from the Men's World Cup, and then the last one from the Women's World Cup in France, where Lindsey became world champion. And it is wonderful to see her, because our home here is right across from her home on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So I used to come home and I see this young lady in the driveway, and she'd be kicking the ball against the wall by the garage. So there's the garage, and then there's a wall there, and she'd be out there all day kicking that ball against the wall. One touch, one touch, one touch, one touch. And I always told my wife, I said, she will be awesome because she does it on her own. Everything comes from within. Everything comes from, inner desire to succeed. And I can't be more proud to see where she's at.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I was probably annoying all my neighbors kicking the ball against the wall.
Oh, because and played in the streets all the time. The ball ended up in people's yards and their backyards. Yeah. And they had walls, so we had to either knock on the door or ring the bell, and then they would send the ball back. And after a while, those balls came back flat because they put a knife into it, and they said, "Here, no more." So I really appreciated what you were doing, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so Lindsey, welcome to Football Talks. As you may know, we basically bring on, personalities from our region just to, interview them and tell their stories. So when we found out that you two were neighbors, it was like, oh my gosh, we have to get them on, right? So Lindsey, do you have any, anecdotes or like stories such as the one that Esse just told you about your experience as being neighbors?
I do remember I was so young, but I remember one time, I don't know if I accidentally kicked my ball over towards Esse's house or what, but we ended up having a conversation, and I can't remember exactly what he had said to me, but he gave me a pointer on something, and I was just like, that is so cool. And he didn't even say, what he did, you look at all of the accolades he has behind him, which is kind of the coolest thing, is like he's kind of a superstar in the soccer world as well. And I love when you can just kind of have a conversation with someone and they don't need to go on and tell you everything they've done. And so I remember us having, again, I was so young, I remember us having a few little moments shared in our front yards, and I honestly didn't know all this information until later on that people had told me, and some of our neighbors had told me, and I had actually heard it from someone else. And I was like, are you kidding me? He didn't tell me that he was in this World Cup? Or I'm like, why didn't he say anything? I would have been like starstruck. But again, I think that's, the epitome of him, and just something cool that I really appreciate in sports, because no one likes that person that goes around boasting about everything, and he wasn't like that. So I think that's awesome. And yeah, again, we shared a few. I think he shared a few hints and tips for me. So that was nice of him.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to share those hits and tips, or Esse, do you want to remind her? Because like you said, you just were super small. So
no, she was doing great. I mean. The fact that she loved the game so much and she was there on her own, you knew that she was going to figure it out. She didn't need the coaching. She was out there and doing it, and she was going to figure it out. And that's the game is the best coach. The game is the best teacher. And she's had good coaches. There is no doubt there. But with the best coaches in the world, if the inner desire is not there, if the discipline is not there, if the hunger is not there, you can do all of that, and none of it matters. So whatever she has done, she's done it on her own 2 feet, and based on her own strength. And that is the sweetest thing in the world, because that you've earned it. You've done it the old-fashioned way. You've done it your way. And to be standing, at the top of the world, world champion, what a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, for sure, Esse. I had the privilege of working with Esse and talking to him pretty much like every other day. So, Lindsey, I know what it's like to like hear a humble man. He's very humble. Doesn't really talk about his his like all these accomplishments until we had like a Zoom call, and he's just sitting in back with like all these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, a little bit to transition to your story, Lindsey, do you want to talk a little bit about how, football came into your life, or how you started, right? So as Esse mentioned, just a little girl kicking the ball, but we just want to hear it from you now.
Yeah, I'd say, I started at probably like 4 or 5. My mom, I kind of forced to be my coach because I was afraid. And so my mom was my coach for a little bit. I transferred clubs a few times and then ended up at Colorado Rush. I had a coach named Tim Schultz that kind of brought this passion out of me that was already there, but just it was hard for me to kind of come out and say, like, I want to be a footballer, and I want to play pro. I want to go overseas. I want to be in the national team one day. Sometimes it's scary to say those dreams because you don't know, how if you can get there, what it's going to take. And I was actually just having a conversation with someone today about that, and I remember Tim saying to me, no matter what it is, whatever passion or love that you find, you should put everything into. Whether that's being a soccer player, whether that's being a lawyer, an engineer, whatever. If that's what you want to do in life, then you better work your off to make that happen. And I think that spoke a lot to me. And I think for me, it was like I didn't care about anything else but my family and football. And I loved it like so much. And I love the ball. I love watching it. I think watching the game is probably one of the most important things that you can do. That's one piece of advice I'd say. And then trying to emulate everything that they're doing on the field. So I think one, it's this motivation I got from a coach that kind of brought this out of me that was already there. And then I fell in love with watching Barcelona play. And obviously I think everyone knows how I'm obsessed with Messi. And that was at a young age. I think I watched Messi in his debut at 16 or 17, and I couldn't keep my eyes off of him, and I was constantly watching YouTube videos, and that was kind of like the essence of everything. Is like, no matter what, you can always get better, and if you finally get to the point that you can say you're Lionel Messi, then maybe you can stop working hard. But there's always a point you can get better, and I think, thinking about what Esse just said about me outside, I think that was just something I absolutely loved doing. I wanted to work on my touch. I wanted to do anything that I could possibly do to get better, and I knew that was one of the best ways. And I would always say that anything that you can do individually is going to just push you more and more towards those goals. It's not the team trainings, it's not the games or whatever, it's everything that you're doing on the side, but that kind of needs to come out of you. That needs to be you bringing that passion out. And not everyone's going to have it in soccer, not everyone's going to have it in certain things, so you kind of have to find what you love.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. And obviously, hard work pays off, and even from at 17, you were able to participate in one of our competitions. So the 2010 U17 Concacaf Women's Championship, and you actually won the Golden Boot, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about, that experience and just, being in a national team environment?
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, that experience wasn't great because we didn't qualify for the World Cup, but it was a cool first tournament for me. I was pretty young at the time. I think I was 15. And like you said, I did get the Golden Boot, which was, a cool accomplishment at that age. But, with that being said, not winning the World Cup or not qualifying for the World Cup, it kind of, that's another drive inside of you that you don't ever want to let that happen again. And that you want to keep pushing and keep, making those teams, making those rosters, and, getting to represent your country on a different level is something that not a lot of people and athletes can say. And I think, still to this day, when you put on this crest, it's a very special feeling. And even at a young age like that, to get the opportunity to play in, a qualifying tournament for a World Cup at such a young age is truly remarkable. So I think all those small small tournaments per se, kind of led me to where I am today, and getting those kind of experiences, and the losses and the wins and whatnot, obviously have pushed you to be where you're at. So really cool, and I really appreciate the fact that we have those, and we have these U17, U20 World Cups. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So moving forward to 2012, you were able to participate in the U20, right, Concacaf Championship, and you all won it. However, from what I read, you weren't able to participate in the World Cup. So do you want to talk about in general adversity? Because based on your story and what we see out there, you have suffered adversity from before. So do you want to talk about that, and then leading into making that roster in 2019 for France and then winning it all, right? So
yeah, I actually think 2012 was one of the most difficult years of my life. I was in between the decision of going and playing pro or not, and at the same time I was with my U20s and preparing for a World Cup, and I actually took a minor injury at the time to my knee with my club team, and it kind of came at the worst time. It was a month before the World Cup that I was planning on going to, and it was also during the time that I wanted to sign for PSG, and PSG had basically said, we want you to get the surgery, and I was also told that I could go without the surgery to try and play in the World Cup. And for me, I was so torn, just because I wanted to be there for my team, but I also didn't want to go to this World Cup and not be able to play and make my injury worse, and then affect my team when they could have someone else that is 100% fit. So I think in all, my decision was more based on, one, doing the best for the team, and maybe at that point they didn't understand that, and hopefully my coaches did, and then also for my future, I didn't want to injure myself worse, and I also had this dream of playing professionally overseas and challenging myself in a different way, and I wanted to go to France and play at a club like Paris Saint-Germain. So that ultimately was my decision, but again, first few months of my time in Paris was rough. It was kind of back and forth whether I made the right decision or not, which I did. I got to watch my team win the World Cup. I think I was in this random city in France called Guingamp, watching on probably a TV the size of my computer right now. I was just in the lobby bawling my eyes out, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, did I make the wrong decision? Should I be there? But all in all, it's those type of things, these type of adversities that come in our life that, again, make us who we are, and that was a big one for me. So I'm really proud of how I handled it and how I came out of it, and also the support I had around me. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be. But yeah, and all in all, it's those type of things that help us become who we are.
yeah, for sure. So interestingly enough, Esse was also at that World Cup, right? And then also Lindsey Horan was also at that World Cup, and it's like you guys are neighbors in the same World Cup, right? So if you want to talk a little bit about that experience. Esse was an instructor. Esse, do you want to talk a little bit about what you did, and then Lindsey, what you did as well?
Yeah, and so in this World Cup, we had a lot of new changes that came in, like last minute. Some of the changes in the laws of the game, especially with penalty kicks and movement of the goalkeeper, which really was difficult. We had the introduction of the VAR with a lot of referees who had not used them before, so we had to take them through quite a few seminars that we put together in Qatar. We brought amateur teams to play so they could get used to the, using VAR and things of that nature. And in the under 20 World Cup, which was the year before in France, and Lindsey played, and I think Mallory was there also with her. I was hoping to go meet with the team, because we always have a meeting with the team, but in this situation, I think Sandra Hunt went, and I said, make sure that you take a picture of Colorado girls for me so we can put it up on the Colorado soccer website.
Yeah,
and I think April was there, April Heinrich, and and you and Mallory, and she took a picture. We put it on Colorado Soccer. And there's always that the pride. You are as neutral as possible, but you're just sitting out there, and hoping that the best team wins. But in this situation, when the best team happens to be the people that and you have affinity for, and they win, it's like icing on the cake. So I was in the stadium in the final, and when the USA won, it's like, wow, this is amazing. What a nice way to bring all of my instruction and everything together. In a World Cup that you get to see your own country become world champion the way they did. So
thank you for saying that. I had no idea you were at the World Cup. You got to tell me next time.
Yeah. Yeah, we were in Paris. We were headquartered in Paris, and my wife and my daughter, they came to Paris also to watch the games. So we were at the match against Chile. They enjoyed it. I was working, but they were sitting there enjoying the game.
Yeah.
So,
crazy.
Oh,
well, that the World Cup, it's still like so surreal to even explain. Again, we talked about dreaming of this since we were young girls kicking the ball against the wall in our front yard. And for it to actually happen, I think one of the coolest moments of my life was getting the call for making the roster. I think Jill Ellis told me I was her first crier. I was crying so hard on the phone. I was just like, I had a good feeling about it, but once it's like actually said, it's just incredible. And you work so hard for that moment, and when it finally comes true, it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the coolest moments of my life. Second to winning the World Cup. And it was incredible just what the team did throughout that whole tournament. And I think the route that we went, the way we went through the group stage, we didn't really let anything down, and we wanted to go out and win every single game, and it ultimately made us play some of the most difficult teams in the tournament. So, playing France in their home country in the quarterfinal is not ever fun, but we made it fun. And I think that's what makes the U.S. so special, is we take on those challenges, and it's not really pressure anymore. It's kind of showing who we are, and that we have one goal in mind, and that's winning the World Cup, and we don't really care who we're playing. And that's how it should be. So, again, I think I still reflect on the World Cup because there's so much that happened and so many emotions and whatnot. But again, it's just truly, so insane saying you're a World Cup champion. And looking back on that, and especially now because we're preparing for an Olympics, so you kind of had to shift focus on that. But when this gets brought up and we're talking like this, it kind of gives me the goosebumps. And like being able to share those moments with my family and the crowd, I think is truly remarkable. So again, one of probably the best experience of my life, and it's hard. It's hard to explain,
Yeah, for sure. So, who knew? Two neighbors from Colorado in the World Cup, right? 2019 World Cup in France. I mean, I was there as well, but I'm not from Colorado. So, I mean, just in general, Esse, to wrap things up, and Lindsey, if you could describe, that 2019 experience in one word, what would it be? I know that Carrie Seitz, the head of refereeing for women in FIFA, would always say, reach higher, and then, like, the slogan would be dare to shine, but not sure if you all have, like, any additional words to add. Esse,
for me, one word, it was awesome. Awesome, just to be part of the whole thing. And also the US women team, when you look at them, they're not just soccer players, they are something bigger, and they especially in these difficult times, they provide leadership. They are role models for the young girls who are growing up, and for me that is what is so awesome. So fantastic, really, really good.
Thank you.
And then
You want me to say one word? I can't say one word.
you can say one word or a word and an anecdote like Esse.
I mean, for me, it's hard. I would just say, honestly, I would say grit. That tournament, and I don't think people understand. I think people look at it, you know, like you make a World Cup roster and that's the most exciting thing. Like everything is perfect when you go there. Everything's amazing and whatnot. And people just don't understand the preparation for a World Cup. That's months and months and months of preparation. The meetings that you have, the trainings that you have, the double days, the lifts, the emotional drainage. And, you know, we stayed in, I think, 9 different hotels during the whole experience. And, you know, you're in a different country and everything that you're going through there, it's not easy. And to keep everyone emotionally sane, and you know, you have roommates the whole time and you get sick of each other, you get sick of your coaches sometimes, that you want to kill each other, and you keep working hard, and you know, sometimes you're not starting, you're starting, you have people that are upset they're not playing, and you have to all kind of shift focus to the team, and it's not about one individual the whole time. And you know, I can even say I didn't play in the World Cup final, but I'm still so grateful for everything that happened. I played in 6 of the games. I started 4 of the games, and I know I was very much a part of us winning as well. And, you know, everyone put everything they possibly could towards the team. And again, that's very difficult to do. So I think that's kind of how I would try to shape everything that happened, and the way we went out as well. I told you the route we took, the games that we played, incredible. Some of the best teams in the world, and we fought for every single second to win those games. So I really credit our team and what we did and how we pulled through together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time.